Hello, everyone, and welcome to the January producer
Come a little closer.
live stream.
Hello.
Ben and I decided we wanted to look identical for this stream. We messed up by not wearing the same shirt.
You messed up
I did.
by not wearing the same shirt.
I did.
Because I thought we agreed via text this morning that we would both wear Shadow of Revan with the shaved heads.
I just assumed you had a white and blue plaid shirt that you were going to wear. We didn't actually coordinate that. So, shall we tell the people why we're here?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's look at the agenda for what we're going to talk about today.
Sure. So there's a couple of things we want to take you guys through today. First, just start with State of the Galaxy. Really what that means today is talking about some of the more popular topics from the community, questions that come up in the forums and social media, and just make sure we've addressed the more popular things. We're going to talk about changes since the last stream. So a couple of things are different than we talked about in December. Mm-hmm. We're just going to refresh ourselves what's coming with Chapter 10, Anarchy in Paradise, as part of Game Update 4.1. We're going to talk a little bit about the new Warzone, and just to set expectations right now, we're talking only a tiny little bit of information we're going to give you today. You can talk about it.
Yeah, so like when we, if you guys remember, before we left for the holidays, we had said, hey, we're going to talk about a new Warzone in February. On a producer live stream, we're going to talk about it in February. If you look at your calendar, it's not February, so we're not going to talk super details yet. But we definitely want to give you some things that you don't have to wait all the way till February. So a little something
to tease a little bit out, so you guys had something to keep you going until we get to the February stream.
Correct.
We're going to talk through the Eternal Championship in a little bit more detail than we did last time. And then just kind of wrap up a summary of what we went through, as well as a couple things to make sure you guys remember.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to talk about while we're on the agenda is specifically, like I actually laughed. Someone in chat, I saw them mention, be like, let's talk about story. So funny enough, we're not going to talk about story.
Not today.
The one thing that if you look at our streaming schedule, we have a producer live stream. It's going to be on the second Thursday of the month. And then 2 weeks later, so the last Thursday of the month typically, will be Charles doing a story live stream. So we very clearly wanted to separate. We wanted to bring Ben on as a producer to talk about content releases that are coming up, address some of your concerns that you guys have in the forums and on Reddit and in the community. That's really what this stream is going to be talking about, is specifically that stuff. If you have questions about story, which you should, come back for Charles' stream at the end of the month. That's when we're going to talk about story. But coming to Ask Charles, questions about the new Warzone, right, you're not going to get answers from that. That's about story. So we're trying to separate them because we know there's been some frustration about, well, I only care about this thing or this thing. So we're separating the streams so you know what to come for.
Yeah, that's a great summary.
Yeah. You ready, Ben?
I'm ready. Let's talk about State of the Galaxy. So some of the big things from community. So the first one is group content. So we did make a post on the forums, but just kind of wanted to give an outline of where we feel we're at with that and things we think about as we look into the future. So as we thought about Knights of the Fallen Empire, we really wanted to make sure there was relevant group content as part of this latest expansion. And we realized that in the last 4 years that swtor's been out, we've added a lot of group content to the game, a lot of really fun group content. And we looked at the current active players, and we realized a lot of these people hadn't really had a chance to experience that content because as part of Shadow of Revan, it had now become outdated.
Correct. So
the big thing we wanted to focus on Knights of the Fallen Empire was to take all of that content and make it relevant again. So, we have our 50 operation bosses that are now relevant at max level. We have our 30 flashpoints that all have 3 bosses each.
Yep. Plus adding Star Fortress.
At max level. Plus we added Star Fortress, some new content. So we wanted to do something new as something at least for 4 players or up to 4 players through Star Fortress. And we revamped heroics to be relevant at all levels, hoping that the fastest way to get through them is to grab a couple of people and go and do it.
Right.
So I think for a lot of people who didn't get to experience all of that content when it was originally relevant, like this was a great way for them to get invested into that group content and experience it at a relevant point in time.
Sure.
Now, I think as we move forward, there are some people who did play all that content when it was relevant. And I think right now, those people are kind of saying, hey, I've been around this whole time. Like, I would like to have some new stuff.
Right.
And I think that's a very fair point.
Yep.
So while at this point, I unfortunately don't have anything to announce or talk about, the only thing I just wanted to say is, we do believe group content is a really important part of this game. And while story and cinematic storytelling is absolutely our focus, we still want to find ways to add new group content to the game.
Sure.
We just right now don't have a plan with anything we can actually announce.
Right.
But we are having a lot of conversations internally at the moment around ideas for things we can do. And that could mean anything from we do all the things to none of the things, and most likely somewhere in between.
Sure.
So I don't want anyone to take away the wrong impression from what that means. Outside of we're just talking about it, and as soon as we can give actual details, we will. We don't have anything for right now.
And at least for the conversation of today, we're only talking about the PvE side, right? Because obviously we're about to talk in 10 minutes a little bit more about the PvP side, which we are releasing new group content, right? So it's not, yes, on one side maybe there isn't something to announce today, but on the other side there is. So.
So another issue that came up recently, we had a lot of issues with the GTN, or Galactic Trade Network search. As of yesterday, I believe all those problems are solved. I don't know if you want to outline real quick.
So one of the great, people had pointed out that, this had been going on. It seemed like since Fallen Empire had launched, and we kind of had a hard time nailing down exactly what was going on. We think we got to the bottom of it, and then, funny enough, yesterday morning, we asked, I think it was yesterday or Tuesday, we asked you guys for information and helping us gather information on what you were seeing on your side, why GTN search wasn't working. And we got a lot of great information from you guys. It allowed us to isolate fairly quickly, actually, what was going on because we needed live servers to find this information. And we were able to get it addressed at the end of the day yesterday.
So absolutely, thank you guys. Just to reiterate that, thank you. We really appreciate when you guys help us out trying to solve a problem. It makes a big difference, so thank you. So events, we had some issues throughout December and the holiday period with some of our events. So to try and make up for those issues, we plan to run them again in January. I think we've released all this information. It is out on the website, but just to kind of summarize what's going on. So right now, the GRE event is running from January 12th through January 19th. We have the Rackle event from January 19th through January 26th. And then we have the Bounty Contract event happening from January 26th till February 2nd. So I just wanted to make sure we had our all our events happening back to back to back, like we did in December, again in January, just in case people did have problems with them. The next thing is Guild Conquest Rewards. So there are some issues this past week with guilds receiving their Conquest Rewards, or people who qualified for it receiving the Conquest Rewards. We have some scripts running today and tomorrow that should address all those issues. So by the end of tomorrow, all the people that were meant to get rewards should have those rewards. That should be sorted by tomorrow.
Correct.
And then Cartel Market. Not a lot of information to share here outside of just acknowledging that we absolutely realize there's been a lot of feedback around Cartel Market's pack structure over the last couple of months since Knights of the Fallen Empire launched. I don't have anything to share with you right now, but we are committed to, within the next 2 weeks, doing a forum post that outlines some changes that are coming with Cartel Market and pack structure. So you should see that in a couple of weeks. I wish I had the info now. We just haven't quite worked out the finer details of some of those points, so we'll have that in a couple of weeks.
Any of you guys that have been following along with that stuff, like we had kind of addressed bronze, silver, gold packs that came off the market and gone back on, and there was kind of changes being made to packs as we were going along. So there's some more changes coming. I think are really cool actually, but we'll be talking about those soon, just kind of nailing down exactly how to explain what's going to be changing. So
cool. And I think before we go on, do we have any questions we want?
Oh yeah, sure. So you can see them. Is there one of those questions you want?
I haven't read them. Let's
okay, sure. So one of the questions that we've gotten is which we've talked about, having GRE and Reckle, or do we have any plans to introduce any new events into the game?
Yeah, I think the events have got really good mileage for us so far, but I think we would all agree here that doing something new, event in the sense that something you can do only during certain periods that turns on and off as relevant, that's definitely something that we would like to do in the future. So for sure we want to look into that, but right now I don't have anything new to share outside of, yes, we agree that it would be cool to have more events as well.
Sure. All right, shall we progress on?
Sure.
So
there are some changes since the last stream. So let's kind of just walk through what some of them are. There's only really one big thing here. So the Eternal Championship was scheduled to come out with Chapter 10, but unfortunately it just wasn't ready. So I'm going to go through the details of what's in the Eternal Championship as we get later on in the stream. And when we get there, I can kind of explain the part of it that wasn't ready. But it wasn't ready to go at quality with Chapter 10, so we decided we needed to move that out into Chapter 11. So that will be going with Chapter 11. The Bodar recruitment mission is tied to the Eternal Championship, so we've moved him out into Chapter 11 as well. But instead, because we still want there to be a recruitment mission with Chapter 10, we've pulled forward Blizz, so you'll be able to recruit Blizz with Anarchy of Paradise in Chapter 10. And I've got a slide a little later on to talk a little bit about Blizz. So that's kind of the big thing. Eternal Championship wasn't ready. We moved it with Bodar out, and we're pulling Blizz in instead.
And one of the things that you guys will see in a little bit, we're going to get to it. One of the things we really wanted to touch on today is we are going to explain to you what the Eternal Championship is, how it works a little bit more into the actual system itself. So we'll get to that. We got a question. Are chapters actually going to come out one a month instead of a 4-month waiting period?
Yes, so our chapter's going to come out. Right now our plan is every 4 weeks the next chapter comes out all the way through until the release of Chapter 16, which will be the finale of the Knights of the Fallen Empire expansion. So this was the only kind of longer break, or what we're calling like the mid-season break, and then after this, every 4 weeks you'll have a new chapter that comes with a bunch of extra stuff.
Sure, and of course every chapter is also tied to a game update, so any other content or anything that comes with it. So that's one of the reasons we're also doing these monthly streams, is so we continue to talk about like the Eternal Championship, the War Zone, and all the other things that are coming along with the chapters inside of each game date each month.
Okay.
So
there's another question here. Do you need to do the current recruitment missions to go for the new ones? So generally the answer to that is no, but there are some recruitment missions, and some of them aren't even out yet, where you need to have the first person to then unlock recruiting the next person, because that person, for example, might be the only person in the galaxy who knows where this other person is, so you have to recruit them first to find out information about recruiting the next person. So generally the answer is no, but there are certainly some exceptions where there's a kind of a chain of recruitment missions.
sure. All right, shall we move to the next slide?
Yeah.
All right.
So just wanted to really quite quickly refresh everyone on what's coming with Chapter 10. So Chapter 10, Anarchy in Paradise, is coming February 11th, or if you qualify for the early access, you get it on February 9th. And obviously this mission is all about Firebrand, who, for those of you savvy enough to have played the Agent storyline, you might be quite familiar with who Firebrand is. But a really exciting chapter coming out, where the thing I'm most interested in seeing is at the end of this chapter, depending on some choices that you make, something quite interesting can happen that I don't think people will expect, and I'm really excited to see the reaction to that from fans. But I won't go into any more detail than that, but Chapter 10 is coming February 11th or February 9th for early access.
Yep.
The Blizz recruitment mission, so you get to meet Blizz and his all-new Jawa crew. So I think the great thing about this screenshot, for those of you that kind of notice, is all these guys, first of all, are on a planet that looks like it has snow, which is not really what you would expect. But you get to, if you haven't played the Bounty Hunter storyline, you'll meet Blizz for the first time and his crew and learn what he's doing on Hoth. And for those of you who already have met Blizz, you can kind of catch up with him on what's been going on in the last 5 years, and why did you assemble this crew of Jawas, and what brought you to Hoth, and why on earth would you be doing that?
Sure.
So it's a pretty fun recruitment mission that I think you guys will enjoy. Also coming now with Anarchy in Paradise as a replacement for Bodar.
Sure. So one of the comments, kind of something that ties back into what you were just talking about with Chapter 10. I saw someone say the words of "choices don't matter, don't lie to us." So the interesting thing is that you may not have seen all of the ramifications of the choices that you've made up to this point, but we can tell you pretty assuredly that the choices you have made from chapters 1 through 9 will definitely have long-term consequences. You just may not have seen them yet.
And I think for this specific thing, one part of that implication will happen at the end of this chapter, but the other part of it doesn't actually happen until a later chapter. Sure. So you've got quite a few more surprises in store for you.
Yeah.
But I think let's debate that after it comes out.
Right, sure.
Otherwise,
right,
just saying, it's going to be amazing. So let's see what you guys have to say about it. But I think you'll be impressed.
Yeah. Okay. So crafting update.
Yeah, so just a little bit more information on the crafting update. So we're increasing the skill to 550, so 50 extra level towards your crafting skill. We're adding some new craftable gear and mods. Let me just consult my notes so I get this right. So the idea with the crafted gear here is to kind of bridge the gap between finishing up the chapters and entering into more of the group content.
Right.
So the idea is that this crafted set of gear will be like item rating 208s. There are some existing crafted sets in the game. We're going to bump them up around 4 item levels each. It's funny, when I was saying to AZ, who's our itemization designer for this, I said, hey, can you run me through this real quick, make sure I understand it? And he sent me a 6-page document about all the things he's changing with crafting. And I was like, I don't think I can cover 6 pages worth of information in a short producer stream. But that's kind of the summary of what the new set of gear is about. But we're going to post that this week or next week?
It'll be before the end of January. I'm working. So as Ben just said, it is 6 pages, and that was just the initial send of documentation. To be honest, anyone who's a fan of crafting, there's a lot of really cool changes that are coming, kind of unifying and streamlining some of the stuff to have it, like you see, like mission reorganization is part of that. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to, I don't want to say simplify, that's not the right word, but just make some of our crafting more consistent and easier to understand at a glance. There's a lot of really, really cool changes. There is a lot of information that goes along with the crafting changes. So it is probably going to take more than one very long forum post to explain all the stuff that's going on. So, and this, just as a reiteration as well, this is coming with chapter 10, correct?
Yep.
So you guys will see this in February.
And I didn't mention it yet, but you can see the background image is actually some of the gear that's most widely requested to come back into the game from the community. So it's the appearance of the old Elite War Hero gear. So that will be the appearance for some of this craftable gear, so that you guys can get access to that for outfits and things like that if you so please.
Sure. And one, I just saw a question about crafting. Will the new skill increase to 550 affect the MK8 augment kits that we all use in our current gear? So the answer to that in short form is yes. But wait till we release the blog so we explain how all of the grade changes and any of that stuff will affect you. We definitely wanted to take into consideration that you didn't have a negative impact because of us increasing the crafting cap and those things. So stay tuned till you actually read the full information. We'll explain all of that information on how that's going to affect your characters as they stand today.
And then some new materials obviously will come in as part of increasing the level. And the mission reorganization, I think, is a really just nice quality of life thing. So right now when you send your companions off to do things and you have to fiddle through the different level brackets, we've cleaned all that up to make it a lot more usable. But again, these are just kind of the 4 high-level points from what is a really long and detailed set of changes. And we'll get to you guys as soon as we can.
Correct. All right.
Do we have any, I feel like there's a bunch of questions piling up. Do we have anything we want to?
Yeah, so I'm trying to, the funny thing is, there's actually a lot, at least the ones that I'm getting sent over, the bunch of them are story questions, so I'm trying to not ask them.
I saw one, like, can we get some frame rate improvements? I think that's always an interesting question.
Yeah, so funny enough, I saw the frame rate question, and I saw another question. I'll bring them up now. I was going to ask them around war zones. Frame rates is something we saw quite a bit, and when are class changes coming? I've seen both of those questions quite frequently, and most of that is typically tied to war zones from what I've seen.
Yeah. So the frame rate question, I think, is a good one. It's actually something we've put quite a lot of effort into, like overall performance. Let's not limit it to frame rates, but server performance and client performance.
Sure.
We put quite a lot of effort into that, I think, in the lead up to Knights of the Fallen Empire. And I think we got a lot of positive feedback after we launched that expansion. We actually have some people who work on that pretty much exclusively now. We got such a positive response from you guys. I actually can't remember if in chapter 10 or chapter 11 we have anything specifically, but all I can say is we are definitely working on performance stuff constantly, and then we just release that in chunks that make sense. Sometimes we want to wrap up a couple of changes together so it feels a bit more meaningful, but most of the time, as soon as something's ready, we'll just push it out. So we'll keep you guys updated on that kind of stuff.
Right.
But right now I don't have anything specific to talk about.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's something that we're always working on. How about class balance changes?
Yeah, great question. So, for a long time, we're doing class balance changes with every single game update. And it's kind of the choice we have to weigh up is, do we want to do big, broad sweeping changes on a, let's say, 3-month cadence or 5-month cadence or whatever it might be, or do we want to do lots of small changes every single month? And I think this last year we experimented with lots of small changes every single month. And as it's a new year, it's one of those things that we're debating now. What do we want to do this year? My personal feeling is doing them every month, I don't think is impactful enough. I would prefer to do bigger ones on a longer cadence. But I would actually ask that question out to you guys in the community. I'd love to see a forum thread with some comments and suggestions about what you guys would like to see.
Yeah, I can add that.
And no
into
promises that means that's what we'll do. We have all kinds of pressures and problems and things to deal with our schedule, but we'd certainly love to hear from you guys what you would prefer from those kind of two options, and then we'll open a dialogue with you guys about that as we talk about what we're going to do this next year.
Sure. All right. Shall we talk about the sub rewards?
Oh yeah. So just wanted to kind of remind everyone, if you were sub by January 11th, which is now gone by, you qualified for the HK55 companion. So one thing we didn't mention that's coming with Chapter 10 is the HK55 recruitment mission. So in addition to Blizz, you can recruit HK55 as part of your alliance for all of you that were sub by January 11th, and that will come out when you have access to Chapter 10. But there is still time to get the February rewards. So if you were sub by February 1st, you get the HK55 jetpack. You can see our concept art for that is the background image here on this slide. And not to forget that you also get 2 days early access to Anarchy in Paradise.
Sure.
So for those of you that just can't wait to play the next chapter in the story, make sure you're subbed up by the 1st of February.
And it is worth noting, just like our chapters are monthly, so are the rewards. So we will be giving out rewards similar to this every month, which we'll continue to talk about, again, in these producer streams that we'll be doing at the beginning of every month. All right.
This is something that you guys may or may not have heard about, but we have a promotion going with NVIDIA right now where they're giving away some really cool hardware, which, I don't know, for many of you, I assume might be a hardware upgrade, which what better way to enjoy playing swtor better than pumping up your graphics to slightly higher settings. So they're giving away 3 really high-end gaming PCs, as well as 10 GTX 960s. So they're pretty powerful graphics cards, which is really cool. This contest ends on Sunday, so time's running out for it.
Yep.
But all you have to do is play through Knights of the Fallen Empire, use Shadow Play, record some part of your experience, and submit it, and you have a chance to win one of these cool prizes.
Yep.
And we've been reviewing some of them. They're actually pretty funny.
There's some amazing ones on
You guys should look up what's it called? Knights of the Fallen Empire Bad Lip Syncing.
Yeah.
Bad Lip Syncing. It's hilarious. So even if you don't want to enter the contest, I would go and check out some of the submissions. They're pretty funny and pretty interesting.
Yep.
But some cool prizes to be won there, and we're giving away some stuff in game as well as part of this.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Okay. So the new Warzone, like I said, setting expectations. We're not sharing a lot of information today, but the deal that we agreed on is so this new Warzone is taking place on the planet you see on this PowerPoint slide.
Yep.
And Musk and I agreed that if you guys in Twitch chat could guess the planet, we would tell you what the game mode is going to be. Not all the details about it, but just what the game mode is.
Yep.
So
we'll
guess away.
Yeah, because the thing that we've seen, right, is as soon as we said a new Warzone, there was a lot of questions and guesses already around the game mode, right? Is it going to be an existing game mode on a new map? So is it just going to be an arena with a new map?
I mean, I guess someone's going to have to guess the right planet. I'm seeing Yavin spammed in chat, and it's not Yavin.
That's not Yavin.
That's the incorrect answer.
Yeah. Now, have actually seen the correct answer one time so far.
I feel like we need to see it maybe 5 times.
Yeah, we need to see it a couple times. So I've seen it twice, and I'm seeing game modes guessed. You don't need to guess the game mode.
We could guess the game mode. That could be funny.
Theoretically, you could. So I've definitely seen it more than 5 times at this point.
Yeah, maybe 5 was too low a number. Maybe it should have been 30.
Maybe it was. So the correct answer is
Odessan.
Yes. So it is going to be on Odessan. Should I press when I press the button, it's going to say what the new mode is? Is that true?
No,
it's not.
Twice.
So I'm going to hit it once.
Let's see.
I know what it's going to say. So the next press is going to say a reminder that this is just a very high level of what the new Warzone is going to be, so that you have some information. But again, definitely come back. If you're interested in the Warzone, come back to our stream next month and we'll be talking a lot more details.
Yep. So, but the game mode's going to be a take on King of the Hill. There's going to be multiple hills, and the hills randomly spawn in different locations throughout the map. Sometimes one hill could be there, sometimes there are multiple hills.
Yep.
That's all I want to say at this point in time. We did our first dev playtest of it yesterday, and it was really fun. We had a really good time, and I think you guys will really enjoy the amount of thought and depth that's gone into this one as an all-new game mode that we're bringing into Star Wars: Old Republic. But enough before I get myself carried away.
Sure.
And we'll talk about. I hope to talk about literally all the details of it next producer stream, or as much of it that we have.
Yep.
Okay, so the other thing we wanted to kind of dive into a bit was Do we have any questions in there that we want to?
So I've been.
I can't really answer anything more about
Sure.
that.
I've been sure that's the thing is I'm trying to get questions that are specifically the number one question, which I think we probably should answer, is what's the ETA for the release of the Warzone? I think the safest answer we should give you is come back in February. Pretty much any other question for now, most likely about the Warzone specifically, when's it going to release? When's it going to go on PTS? Is it going to go on PTS? All those kind of questions, come back in February. We really just we know we had already said come in February for details. We just know that people have been looking for information on it. We didn't want to have to make you wait 2 months.
Yeah. But I would also add, if we can give you all the details in February, it's probably not too far past that. It's certainly past February.
That would be,
but it's not.
That might be a safe assessment.
It's certainly not 6 months after February.
Correct.
For example, it's much closer than that.
There is, of course, a very good question, which is when is the next season going to start?
That is a great question. I actually don't have the answer to that question right now, but we can make sure we post that in the forums.
Sure.
I know we were debating.
I know what the answer was, but we'll verify, and I'll work on getting that answer into the thread as well.
Yeah, we can make sure we do that for you guys within a week and get that information out.
Yep. So funny enough, before you start talking, we have a question about the Eternal Championship, which I think is a great question to kind of set up what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
Will the Eternal Championship be too easy for a veteran player?
I think that is an excellent question. So I would hope the answer to that question is yes and no.
Yep.
So let's talk through it, and then I can explain why I think that is the correct answer.
Part of what we're actually going to look for as well is feedback from you guys around something close to that. So let's jump in.
So first of all, the Eternal Championship is now coming with Chapter 11. We talked about how it got pushed out. It just wasn't quite ready. And the reason, let's talk about what is the overall goal of this. So the Eternal Championship is meant to be a solo challenge to test players' skills. In many ways, it's intended to transition you from finishing of chapters through into group content.
Yep.
So what does that actually mean? So first of all, actually, I'll talk about it at the end. So what does that actually mean? So the goal with this is we're going to build 10 encounters in the Eternal Championship. And to answer the question from the stream, will this be hard or easy for a veteran player? What we would really love to do, and we're still working this out and we're interested in feedback as well, is the first 5 encounters probably won't be that difficult. We would like a broad group of players to be able to get through those first 5 encounters. We think the back 5 encounters should actually be a challenge. And how many people can finish it, that's all the kind of stuff we're trying to work out. But I think that even veteran players who've been playing this game for a long time should feel satisfied when they finish that final encounter.
Yep.
And I think players who are newer to the game or haven't spent as much time playing this kind of game might need to spend a little bit more time trying to get through all of the encounters than probably a veteran player.
Yep.
So that's kind of the high level idea. We want to incentivize this for solo players through weekly missions. So a lot of this is still in progress, and again, we actually really would love some feedback on this stuff.
Yep.
Right now, the plan, which could absolutely change and probably absolutely will change, is to have 3 weekly missions. So a mission that you get a reward by completing the first 5 bosses, a reward you get by completing the first 7 bosses, or encounters, and then a final weekly mission where you get rewarded for completing all 10 encounters.
Right.
The thing we're really debating on, and again, I'd love if someone in the forums would start a thread, or maybe we can do it ourselves.
I'll start an official thread for this.
Okay. Which is, what is the appropriate gear to reward players for this?
Yep.
And part of that is married to, what's going to be the appropriate challenge? But, we were loosely thinking something along these lines. And again, this is all very likely going to change. Sure. And maybe it even changes based on the feedback we get. But, if the first 5 are fairly straightforward, getting kind of entry-level gear, maybe on the par with heroic missions, potentially tactical flashpoint kind of stuff for defeating the first 5. 7, some kind of step up from that. I'm not sure the right approach. And then maybe for finishing all 10, you could get a piece of operation equivalent gear.
Sure.
The thing we're not sure of is getting the operation gear a little too much,
right.
And part of it depends on where we land with the difficulty and the challenge of it all.
Right.
But loosely, that's what we were thinking. And what we'd love to hear from the community is, what do you guys think would be appropriate for a solo challenge? Now, I say it's a solo challenge, and what that means to us is you can only complete the weekly missions if you complete the Eternal Championship by yourself. You can totally bring a friend to this. If you're like, I'm not up for this challenge, it's too hard for me, I like to bring a buddy and just see the content, you can absolutely do that. You just won't qualify to get the rewards for completing it solo, which are those weekly missions. So we're not trying to exclude you playing with your friends, not at all, but this is intended to be something to challenge you as an individual player, and so we want to make sure we only are rewarding people who complete the challenge as it's intended that way.
Sure.
So
there's quite a few questions. There's some questions about Eternal Championship. Are you able to? Do you have to complete the chapters to access Eternal Championship?
Oh, geez, that's a great question. I actually don't know, but if someone on the dev team is listening, I would love to answer that question. So if you guys could text me or come to the stream room,
back to the stream
that would be really good.
I feel like the answer I think you have to have at least completed the first 9 chapters.
Probably.
I don't know if you have to have completed chapter 10, but
that's an easy one to address.
I'm sure someone's
as well,
listening. Please come make Musk and I look really smart by getting the answer
and
let us know.
There you go. We've seen quite a few questions about the rewards that you get from Eternal Championship. So besides the weekly mission rewards, and I think, is there another bullet that talks about that?
Let's do it. Oh, coincidental.
Yep.
Yeah, so also we're going to
swear these aren't planted questions. Tate is sending them to me.
No, so we're also going to add some really cool rare drops to some of the bosses. We haven't worked out the exact number, and we'll probably announce what those rare drops are by the marketing team or through the community group. But we definitely want to have some incentives for you guys to chase, trying to get some really cool items that drop from some of the encounters.
Yep. Someone asked a question unrelated to this about operations loot in Nightmare, about 224 stuff. I'm not going to go into explanation now, but I will answer that question in the forums right when I get back to my desk, because I have an answer for you. Is there another bullet for Eternal Championship?
So I'm seeing here, Eternal Championship requires at least Chapter 9.
Okay.
I feel like we should confirm if it needs Chapter 10.
Yeah. There you go.
Come on, Tate, let's go.
Yep. We're getting funneled answers from Tate while we're here. Is there another bullet on this or no?
Yep.
Oh, of course.
And then, of course, you can, as part of this, recruit the Wookiee Gladiator Bodar. So the whole idea here is to recruit Bodar, you have to earn a certain amount of influence by competing in the Eternal Championship.
Sure.
So obviously, you get influence based on how many encounters you complete. So for someone who completes all 10 really quickly, you can get Bodar pretty quick. If you can only defeat a couple of them, it might take you a few more cycles to earn enough respect from this Wookiee Gladiator for him to come and join your alliance. But he's certainly part of the Eternal Championship.
Got it. Just Chapter 9.
Okay, so you have to complete Chapter 9 to have access to the Eternal Championship.
Yep.
Obviously, everyone will complete all the chapters that are available anyway because they're amazing.
Of course.
But Chapter 9 is the requirement. Thank you guys very much for getting that answer.
That was very fast. All right. Should I go to the next slide?
Yeah, let's do it. So this is just our wrap-up. So that's kind of all the information we had to share today.
Yep.
And we'll just kind of talk through a couple things. So I think, what was the first one? Yeah, just to remind you guys that Charles Boyd is doing the story stream in 2 weeks. Yep. He's really going to deep dive into the story so far in Knights of the Fallen Empire, answer some lore questions you guys have.
I saw quite a few questions about things like companions coming back and romance and a bunch of that stuff. Those are great questions for Charles. This is definitely, if you're interested in that stuff, definitely tune in for Charles' stream in 2 weeks.
He invented it, basically, so he certainly has the best answers.
He's the guy to answer it, yeah.
Just reminding you guys, the NVIDIA contest ends Sunday, just because there's some really cool prizes you can win, so I think it's definitely worth entering, or just checking out the people who entered because they're funny.
Absolutely. So, the forum wrap-up. We got this request a lot when we started doing producer live streams like this, that people wanted an official source where we would wrap up all the information to make sure there wasn't any confusion about what exactly we said. So as soon as the stream is over, I'm going to literally walk back to my desk and make a post that has a forum wrap-up. As a part of that, I'll also make sure to make the additional 2 posts that Ben had asked about, which is, what do you guys think is a basic cadency type thing for class changes on when that might be a good idea to make, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever that is, and what the rewards should look like compared to other parts of the game for Eternal Championships. So if you complete 10 bosses, should it be ops? Should it be hard mode flashpoints? What item rating should it be? That type of stuff.
And do we think 3 weekly quests is the right thing? Should it be 2?
Right.
Just any opinions you guys have on that, we'd love to get them. while the guys are still working on it. So.
And then, of course, like I know that you guys have a whole bunch of questions, but we really wanted to limit this to 30 minutes just to make sure we got, which we're over time, but whatever, get out as much information as we could in a shorter period of time. So any questions that we haven't answered, definitely go into that forum thread, or that you can. I'm sure there'll be a mirror of it on Reddit. You could post them there, and I'll be talking to these guys and getting the answers to those questions into the forum threads and stuff as well.
Yep.
And we'll see.
And then see you next month.
Yeah.
Can't wait. 4 more weeks.
Yep. Like I said, if you have interest in the Warzone, you definitely should come back next month because we'll be talking about the Warzone and anything that's coming beyond that. Just let me see if I can reiterate a couple of the things that we have coming as well. So there are changes coming to packs for the cartel market. We'll be doing a forum post talking about those changes. As we had talked about earlier in the stream, there are a lot of changes coming to crafting in Chapter 10 with Game Update 4.1. We'll be doing probably a minimum of 2 very large forum posts, which we'll make sure will be in all languages, talking about what's coming for those as well. So you still have information coming on those 2 things before the end of January. Did I cover it all?
I think we've covered a lot of it. I think we're good.
I think so too. Thanks to Tate for helping us with gather questions and throw them over the. I don't know if Tate. I think Tate was going to give away stuff in chat, but chat is going crazy town, so I haven't been able to watch it while talking to Ben. So I don't know if he gave anything away. If he didn't, yell at Tate, and then Tate will then give stuff away, which I think is what I did last
good
time.
Idea.
Right?
Yell at Tate, and he gives away swag.
Yeah, I think that's
All
I think that's pretty much how
That's
that
a good
works.
deal.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, appreciate you guys coming in. It's always good to spend a little bit of time with you, even though it's only short and we got through a lot of stuff today. But thanks for tuning in.
Yep. So enjoy. I almost said have a good Friday. It is not Friday. Today is Thursday. So have a good Thursday. Again, we'll be posting the wrap up. Let us know any questions you guys have, and I'll get answers out tomorrow and throughout the week next week. Not on Monday because it's MLK, so it's a holiday.
Cool. That's it.
Thank you guys,
Thank you guys very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
See you next month.